Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Financial Fitness Friday. So one of my this and Mindset Monday are some of my favorite stuff to do. Mainly get to hang out with my buddy Dave, and we get to try to help you guys any way we can. Right. So one of the things I want to talk about today, it's valuable if you own a business or just you're an everyday person. You're working a 9 to 5, and here's why. Right. People don't understand how valuable banking relationships are until you really need them. All right. Let me say that again. You don't know how valuable it is to have the right support system when it comes to banking until something goes wrong. All right. I have seen many, many clients go very close to losing their business because they did not have the right relationships in place. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I've seen clients have their lines of credit shut off. Okay, from big banks or local credit unions or even some of the companies that we use, but I can typically get them turned back on in a little bit. But they have someone to call, right? When the bank makes a decision, that's usually it. Okay, same thing. There's tons of banks out there that if there's an overdraft or something happens or there's fraud, if you're not protected, if you don't have a good relationship, if no one's watching your money, when it's supposed to be in the safest place it can possibly be, well, you can lose everything. All right. That's why I can't stress this enough. And the people I know that are larger clients, I have a relationship with Chase. I send you guys to Chase. I don't make anything on it. I just know you guys are in good hands with their private client services. Um, and it's not a one size fits all. That doesn't mean Chase is the only one to go to, right? Prior to coming on the call, Dave and I were talking about this, and he said there's a local branch by him. I mean, Dave, have that conversation again.
Yeah, man. So there's a local credit union here in PA. Well, semi-local, should say statewide, and they do business in Maryland. But they've been they're one of the older ones. They're for those of you that know, their name's Members First Credit Union. They are a kick-ass company with what they've done over the last 2 or 3 years, especially during COVID. And if you're seeing some of these major banks, I bank at PNC, right? There's a branch that I've been at since I was a kid, right? Since the doors open there, and it's changed hands, and the PNC's bought out people, but that same building I've banked at since my family started an account for me in '89, right? They just shuttered the doors on it 3 months ago. Said, sorry, we're out of here. We're downsizing. If you need a branch, go here. But the beauty of Members First, they're building locally in the Lehigh Valley, Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton, where I'm from. They're building 5 new branches a year, and that's their vision. They're exploding right now. Why? They want to get back to shaking hands, putting a face with a name, being available. Um, we had a meeting last night, or a networking group. One of their reps was there that I met a couple weeks ago for an event that they invited me to. And he said, hey, you need something, man? Text me. I don't care if it's 11 o'clock at night. Text me. These guys they want to win within the community. If you're in a business or if you're in personal banking, they want to help you succeed. There's products and services that we were talking about that they don't even advertise on their website. It's available. Why? Because they want to see you win and succeed. It's one of the best. Just that example right there is one of the best relationships I've seen in this whole banking industry, probably in the last 10 or 15 years. I've never met somebody that, with the exception of my branch when it was still open, but the writing was on the wall that they were getting away from that. There started to be a lot of turnover, a lot of new faces, and you didn't have that community relation anymore. But it's one of the best sets of customer service I've ever seen, or just in relationship. Hey, come out to this event, eat, drink. Here's the 2 tickets to drink. Oh, hey, you want to come out to our box? Come see the Phantoms game. Come see the Flyers Rangers rookie game, right? Hey, we're doing a networking event. Come here, be our headliner, right? They want to win. And it's not just us, it's with all businesses here, man. They're very good at that. And they're getting I had this discussion last night. I think they're going to be a household name like within the state that you're just going to see them everywhere, and people are going to leave the big banks. You know, we're not going to name them. You guys know who they are, but that's going to be a staple here because people want that, man. If I want something, I want to be able to talk to somebody. I'm tired of the automated shit. I'm tired of pressing 2. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys, because obviously this is my world. Okay, I'll tell you guys some of the things that you need to look for. Do you have someone that you can speak to if something happens or something goes wrong? A couple things though. All right, and this I mean, having the banking relationship is very, very important. But understand that the banks do not really serve business well, meaning your bank is going to be there and they're going to be able to provide you most of what you need. But when it comes to equipment financing, lines of credit, when it comes to invoice factoring, payment processing especially, I'll tell you right now, no bank is going to be cheap. Okay, they put their logo on it. They say, hey, this is great. And you know what? Because it's a bank, everyone assumes, hey, it's really low. They are way more expensive. Okay. So there are certain services you probably shouldn't go to for that. Now, a line of credit might be great, but it's going to take a very long time to get approved. And it might not be what you need. And they will shut it on you if stuff is going sideways. I'm just telling you, like from personal experience. There's a reason I've been doing this for 15 years and I've built what I've built. It's because the banks are not efficient. Okay. They're not efficient with lending. They don't have all the programs. They can barely get out of their way. Use a bank for what they're good for, keeping your money safe. Now, what are some of the differences that you guys need to know? Okay. Between the big box banks, let's say a Chase, Wells Fargo, TD, any of these versus the credit union or community bank. Credit union, community bank, they'll probably be a little bit more aggressive when it comes to lending in certain programs. They'll probably have a lot better customer service, just like Dave's saying. And they may do some things that a larger bank wouldn't do. All right. When you get into trouble is if you have a lot of transactions, okay? If you have a lot of transactions, if you have to send a lot of payments, if you have to collect a lot of payments, the smaller branches are not good for that. Okay. They're not. But I'll give you a great example. Scott Simons, guy's a brother to me. Okay. When we were going and opening these gyms that turned out to be a disaster, we needed a line of credit. Because of his relationships at the one bank, we got a line of credit. I mean, it was a great line of credit. We should have never qualified for that. But me, Sean, and Scott had enough assets, and they gave us a line of credit. But the difference is it was an interest-only line of credit. Okay. And the average person would have gotten in a lot of trouble with that. Okay. Interest only versus like a traditional line of credit. Interest only means you're never paying down that balance. You're just paying interest every month. And then maybe once or twice a year, you have to clean it up, bring it to zero. All right. And it's great because the payments are lower, but you're never making a dent on the principal. So if you are not disciplined and you don't realize that, your balance could stay at 100, 200, 300, 400,000. And all you're doing is making interest payments to the bank. Okay. And you're in a cycle of debt that you cannot get out of. So you have to understand what they're providing you. Okay. You need that education. Next, if you do a lot of wires, so do a lot of transfers, Chase is great, right? I don't like the other major big banks. I don't. And sometimes I don't even like Chase. I'll be honest with you. There are certain things Chase does, depending on when I walk in there, that I do not like. When I was in New York, I had one person. I could call them and get anything done with a phone call. Anything. I never had to go into the branch. And I did because they were good people. I still have that same relationships there, but you don't know what's going to happen when you walk into a local branch. And I don't hold that against the entire company because you're talking about an employee that's not making a lot of money, doesn't really care, versus, somebody that does care, that's invested. So just know those are some of the differences. All right. And if you do have a larger business, and you do have a lot of payments, you really should be with a major because it can mess up wires, it can mess up ACHs. and things can go sideways. And I've seen it time in, time out. Okay, it's a universal truth. Uh, Also, some of the statements are very hard to read. If you ever go to a credit union, okay, if you see a credit union statements versus like a Chase, a Wells Fargo, a B of A, it's night and day. The one major I would always stay away from is always going to be Bank of America. Brutal, consistently brutal. All right, but having these relationships, I'm not saying that to crap on anybody, okay? I'm telling you from personal experience, things that can be the difference between you having a great business that operates at a very high level or you having a great building your own personal wealth versus having stuff happen that is easily avoidable, right? And it starts with your relationships. What's your relationship like with your bank? How much is going through there? And different banks are good at different things. Like the credit union, like if I didn't have a national lending company, I'd probably be at a credit union. Okay. But when you have a larger company and you constantly doing transactions, the local ones are just very, very tough to use. Okay. Very tough to use. These things are important, guys. And these are things that people really don't think about. In terms of banking services, always check. I would not get payment processing from a bank, and they're not going to have. They don't have the education. I know this sounds weird, but if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to a bank for certain services, they don't have the resources or the education. I know because I had a great relationship with the bank manager at Truist. They were cool, but they said they do not offer a fraction of what I offer, and no one even knew half the programs in their branch, and that is a big disadvantage if you're going there and just trusting it blindly. Okay, so use a bank what it's good for, keeping your money safe. All right, and if the bank fails to do that or you can't get things done, it's time to move. Okay, I had a call today from a client who I've known for 5 years. She's not even a client; she's a friend, and I really like her. Her bank basically turned her back on her, and she deposits probably 2 million, 3 million a year there. Okay, bank turned her back when she had an issue. Well, she just left. That bank doesn't care. Okay, you cannot operate, you cannot win, long term when you have people that just don't give a shit. It won't happen. All right, Dave, you got anything else on this?
No, I mean, look, just do your homework. Shake a hand. You know what I mean? And get to know somebody. I think that's the biggest thing, when you're doing it on business. On the personal side too, don't be afraid to shop around on multiple banks. Obviously in businesses, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but, just shake a hand, man. That's the thing I say with that, to touch on what you were saying about them, just, losing somebody that does 2 million a year. Well, when you have banks doing billions of dollars, I mean, it's a revolving door, man. They're not going to care. They're going to put out the next promo for the next person, offer you this bell and whistle. Hey, we do financial advising. You're going to go to a bank to do financial advising. You're going to open up your IRA there, or you're going to go to a broker that does that specifically every single day. Just like you were talking about with the payment processing. It's like those fees are ridiculous. Yeah. So do your homework, guys, and that whole banking industry is changing again because I don't want to beat a dead horse, but they're closing, man. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to make this a virtual world. So if you can create that relationship and somebody's going to be around, man, hold on to that the best you can.
Yeah, that's huge, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate it. I know that you guys got a lot out of this one. Please share it, comment, get this out to people that need to hear it, because if we even make one positive impact on one of these, that's all we're going for. And if we get more, great. All right. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you on Mindset Monday. And we will be doing something a little bit different here. We're going to be launching the Integrated Entrepreneur. It'll be a very, very in tune podcast, very consistent, and you guys will be blown away. So stay tuned. Appreciate you guys. Dave, thank you. Catch you on Monday.